The book of Isaiah, chapter 10, verse 1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that right grievousness which they have prescribed. I want to start off by giving all praises, all honor to call lawyer, Yahweh, Hashem Shah, by Hashem, Rachak, double honors to the apostles and elders of Ray Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing the truth with faith and sincerity, as well as risking their lives, as well as their freedom to do so. Shalom to the Aqua out there, as well as the Akim out there listening and learning. Lord willing, this is an edifying lesson. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad, to the land of other nations, which appear like the other nations, but whom subscribe to the truth. To you I say Shalom. Brother Yahweh Sop out of the GMS Cleveland Church, fellow servant, coming at you with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shad. Was searching for something to do a video on. Something pertinent to the times, some newsworthy news that I could line up with prophecy, but as of lately, it hasn't been happening, so I'm gonna start. Because it's no excuse not to do a video. You know what I mean? I had to cut myself with that. So basically, an article came through my news. No, it was on the internet. It was on I believe Google. But if you wasn't familiar with the Real ID, I went and found an article that you could check out so you can understand what that is. This is by Smarter Travel. Everything travelers need to know about the Real ID Act. Are your days of flying domestically using only your driver's license number? They could be if you don't have a new type of license. As the deadline for the Real ID Act looms, it's vital for you to know if your current driver's license doesn't meet the new criteria. If you are without a Real ID come October 1st, 2021, previously October 20th, until the global pandemic pushed off the deadline. And that's the spirit, because I was going to come out with this. Because the thing is this, they pushed it back to 2023. But Bill Gates said that the world wasn't going to go back to no. Bill Gates of hell, by the way. Bill Hellgates, whatever the fuck they call this guy. Anyway, oh man. You already know that. You probably get in a room with him and you just beat him the fuck to death. But long story short, they pushed it back for what reason? Because of the fact they about to set up a system you won't be able to actually try. Because they already probably got it figured out. A lot of people's not going to take it. That's why you got a lot of people after what has been months. Everything been ahead of schedule. You didn't know about this happening, but everything else, since y'all got on the case of it, has been ahead of schedule. So, everybody, it's vaccines for everybody. But then they just did an article talking about we not sharing vaccines with other countries. You know what I mean? Like, it's like so much goofy shit going on. Anyway, long story short, they pushed it back to 2023, but what is the likelihood that you're going to be able to travel when you ain't got this vaccine? They already putting in the news that the employer can actually make you have it. That's why certain employers, certain companies, certain businesses is not even allowing you to go into their establishments while they lifted the mask. The government supposedly lifted the mask mandate, but you got the businesses talking about no. Or you got people's personal preference. I don't want to be around that type of shit. All right. So how are you going to escape that? So I'm going to go into it. Basically, you can't drive, you can't fly. But that's going to go into so much other stuff. Like, I can't think of the name of, matter of fact, I don't want to just be saying things, so I'm going to look it up, though. But, because it's basically an organization that's behind government affiliated with all these actors promoting it with certain businesses that's actually going to have a certain seal. Those are the businesses that's going to be health screened, and these actors and entertainers are actually promoting like, oh yeah, these are the businesses that you don't have to worry about getting the CV. You know what I'm saying? It says, here's a quick and easy primer with everything you need to know about the Real ID Act, about when to use a Real ID passport, and about the Department of Homeland Security. And, that's why I said unrighteous decrees, because at the end of the day, eventually it's going to be mandatory to actually succumb to this system. And that's why you just made me think of another scripture, Revelations 13. That's why to buy or sell, it's not going to probably be a mark, but it's a mark because it's the philosophy of this system. What is the Real ID Act? In 2005, the Real ID Act established nationwide requirements for state IDs as post 9/11 security measures. States had well over a decade to make the changes. Now, I know for a fact about this because my state was making the changes. You had to get a certain little mark on your ID. You had to show certain kind of proof. If you didn't do that, you didn't get a real ID. You got a regular state ID. But without this real ID, you can't go into government facilities. That's why certain government facilities like the federal buildings you can't go into, and you can't travel domestically. They ain't even talking about internationally. We ain't talking about going leaving the state. I mean the country. Salakia. We ain't talking about leaving the country. We talking about leaving the state on an airplane. And then you don't think they gonna implement certain shit when it comes to going across these tolls, going from state to state, these toll booths? They was already showing you that when you had certain states locked down. Salakia, some states struggle to make the switch to issuing a new compliant licenses, having trouble finding the budget for the new licenses, or lacking other logistical means to enact the changes. Real ID changes timeline when to worry about invalid IDs for flying. 2021. Okay, well, does a real ID replace a passport? You'll need a real ID. Okay. And okay, so the point of me bringing out this was to show you that. Okay, bear with me for a second.